Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I am trying a different location for once because why the heck not? As you can tell from the title, there's no way of trying to trick you into did I like it, did I hate it? You can see from the title what the topic is, and that is Love Victor, which I was so excited to hear about, which I heard about, by the way, long before it was announced. So in case you don't understand what Love Victor is, and why are you watching this video if you don't, it's a spin-off TV show spinning off from a movie called Love, Simon, which in turn is based on a book called Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda by amazing author Becky Albertalli, who, by the way, is super hilarious and funny and nice and sweet and genuine in person, and I've had the pleasure of meeting her. It's confusing because it's not really connected to the books whatsoever, and there are multiple books. There's Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda, and then there's another book that takes place after that that focuses on a completely different character, his friend Leah, even though Simon and, I keep wanting to call him Blue, Brom, are ancillary characters in the background. You still kind of get to catch up on what's going on in their lives. And those events kind of match up with what happens when the brief times that we see them in Love Victor, but I get the feeling that they're two kind of different realities, basically, but it doesn't matter. She mentioned in a book reading, hey, by the way, there's a series coming out at some point that's going to be connected to these books, but it's going to focus on a different character, and so I was very excited, and then when I saw the first season, I liked it. I think I even maybe loved it, although I did have a few problems with it. It just didn't really capture the full Love Simon-ness. The whole thing about Love Simon is it wasn't just a gay love story. It was a gay love story with a mystery combined. And Love Victor didn't really have that whole mystery thing going on. It was just a straight up teen gay kid show. And that's fine, I'll consume that, but it wasn't really Love Simon to me, but that's okay, whatever. I loved it, I fell in love with all the characters, and I very much enjoyed it. And then the second season came out, and it was like, okay, we're getting slightly melodramatic, but it's okay, I'm still very much enjoying it. And then it was announced that the third season was going to be the final season, and I was like, okay, well, that's good because these kids are getting older and they're going to be graduating high school, and how do you really follow these characters around? If we're being realistic, they're gonna kind of end up losing touch, you know? That's kind of what happens. Some of them will, some of them won't. And also, how many seasons can you track one love story? Sure, there are all kinds of other characters having all kinds of other things going on, including one character who's basically Victor's best friend, who is having a situation that is directly identical to the main character in one of my stories, which freaked me the F out because it was like, no, if we focus so much on this, then people are going to think I plagiarized that for this book that I wrote 2 years prior. But thankfully that's kind of dissipated by the third season, and so that's fine. Hopefully people will forget about that, and then when they read my book, they won't think that I did something that I didn't do. Anyway, the point is, I enjoyed it, the second season. The moment that I started watching the third season, I just felt like something is off here. And I wasn't sure what I felt was off after the first episode, but by the second episode, I had figured it out. It's rushed. It's clear to me that the writers had already mapped out multiple seasons. That season 3 was probably never meant to be, they never meant to only go 3 seasons. I think they had stories in them for at least a season 3 and a season 4, if not a season 5. I bet most shows these days try to develop things on like a 5-season schedule. So they probably mapped out some plot structures that were meant to. Here's a keen example, and this is full of spoilers, so sorry, but especially for episode 1 of season 3. Benji reveals out of nowhere, Benji is Simon's love interest, that, oh, by the way, the entire past season, which we've seen, and we can confirm by rewatching and figuring out that this is not true at all, he says, by the way, the entire past season, I was off the bandwagon and was drinking. Benji's an alcoholic. And it's like, no, you weren't. I've seen that season. You weren't drinking. And if you were, That's horrendous writing because it behooves the writers to maybe not show us directly, but foreshadow it. Put a couple weird scenes in there that make us go, is something going on? Probably not. And then he can have this reveal. But I still think that would be the wrong way to do it. From a writing brain, what you would really want to do is have an entire season where he, like he says in season 2, all throughout season 2, he says, I am sober now, and we should believe him. Why would he be lying? Well, to retcon him being sober is ludicrous. So for him to reveal to Victor that he has this issue, but he is now sober, but then to have him retcon that and say, actually, I wasn't sober, I was lying to you the whole time, it just doesn't work because we, with our own eyes, have seen him not being drunk, and we haven't. There's no good writing to foreshadow that he was drunk in those scenes or anything like that. Because he references a specific scene that we have seen with our own eyes, and it's like, no, you weren't drunk in that scene. I can tell. Or else you're a terrible actor, and he's not, and you didn't portray being drunk whatsoever. And as somebody who has had 2 exes who were legit alcoholics and was in relationships with the both of them for more than a year after figuring that out. In fact, one of them I basically knew the whole time. And, I was very young and thought I could change, I could be there for them. Anyway, kind of know a thing or two about what to look for now, and there was none of that in Benji in season 2. So that just irritated me on a personal level, that they're retconning this just for the sake of, oh crap, it's the last season. Because I'm rambling, I'm so sorry, and I'm going all over the place, because here's what I think actually happened. I think they intended to have a completely different season 3, and maybe then season 4 they had already planned out, and that was going to be, and they kind of brought that forward and was like, okay, well, I guess we better have it right now for season 3. But I bet you need to have a season 3 where we show Benji slowly falling off the bandwagon for all the reasons that he details, issues with Victor, issues with his parents, and then what we need to do is to see either just foreshadow and not actually tell us, although I think that's the wrong way, or for us as the audience to actually see through his perspective him reaching for some alcohol at some point. And then we can cut to black or cut to the next scene or whatever. We don't actually have to see him drinking, but so we can still have that uncertainty in our brain. But I don't know, I think we kind of need to see him falling off the bandwagon here and there, so that way we know something that Victor doesn't, and that creates more tension. Because we know that at some point, it's like a ticking time bomb, it's gonna go off. Instead, for them to just flip the script on us out of nowhere and say, oh, by the way, I was drinking that entire last season. It's like, no, you really weren't. And even if you were, and that was the writer's intention, it's bad writing. We need the tension of knowing that he's drinking and wondering when Victor's going to find out, because of course he has to, because of plot structure. So that didn't work for me. And then there just needed to have been a season where he falls off the bandwagon, and at the end of that season, he reveals to Victor, by the way, I fell off the bandwagon, and my parents are sending me to rehab. Just like what happens at the end of the first episode of season 3, really, there should have been a whole season 3, and that should have been the last episode of season 3. And then in season 4, he's been at rehab this whole time, and then he comes back, and then we can have season 4 can basically be what season 3 was for their plot arc. That would work fine. We just needed a whole season where they get back together, and eventually he falls off the bandwagon and reveals it, and Victor finds out. As far as the rest of the characters, I also have massive problems with their story arcs, because clearly the writers had preconceived notions of what they wanted. They wanted Felix and Victor's sister, I forgot her name, to get together, to have them break up, to then get back together. Very route, but that's fine. If that's what they really wanted them to do, great. But that doesn't all have to take place in like 3 episodes. That's like getting whiplash out of nowhere. They break up, they're broken up for like an episode, they get back together, and they're back together in another episode. That's just too fast. And maybe I'm exaggerating there. Maybe it was like 2 episodes in between each of those plot points, but it needs to be like a season long kind of thing, or a multiple season long. So like we need to see the relationship for most of this fictitious version of season have 3 that I'm inventing. We need to see their relationship develop and the fun stuff that they're doing, but keeping it from Victor's parents and all that stuff, but the fun adventures they're having, so that way we can feel the pathos. Because frankly, when they broke up, I was like, oh, I get it. Felix and Lake are going to get back together. And yeah, they teased that. And I thought, oh, that's clearly the whole point of this, is to break up Felix and Lake, to have him get with, her name starts with a P, can't remember, to have her get with Victor's sister, to then break up and get back with Lake. But no, that wasn't the plan. They just wanted to break Felix and Victor's sister up for whatever reason. It's fine, but don't have them together in one episode, break up in the next episode, and then get back together in that 3rd episode. Like, that's just too fast. Like, you're not feeling the... I was fine with them breaking up. As an audience member, I was like, oh, thank God. So that way he can get back with Lake. They don't want me to be feeling that, but they effed up. They should have written it so that we got to experience the fun of them being together for like half of a season. Then they can break up. And then they're broken up for, you know, a little while, and maybe they get back together in that last episode, so that we have 2 separate things happening right as Benji has to go to rehab. So we have a happy... I'm babbling. What I'm just trying to say is my major issue is all of the relationships ended on the same day and then got back together on the same day, and that annoyed the F out of me, because there was this ridiculous scene towards the end of the season where Felix's mom dates this guy, and we meet him in one episode, and in the very next episode, and there's this whole thing about Felix having to learn to like not prejudge this guy, because, you know, Felix has this whole history with his mom's mental illness. And then out of nowhere, in the very next episode, Felix's mom and this guy break up for what reason? I don't know. The reason should have been because of something effed up that Felix had done. And it shouldn't have happened in 2 consecutive episodes. That's idiotic. Like, we should have seen multiple episodes with Felix's mom and this guy, and then, you know, maybe, you know, Felix accidentally does or says something that makes the guy kind of what he does in that first episode that we meet him, and then the guy is like, this is too much for me. Sorry, lady, but your son is crazy. I'm out of here. Something like that. I don't know. But the point is, they clearly only broke up Felix's mom and this guy so that way simultaneously Felix and Victor's sister could be broken up, and then Felix has to learn about his whole, I'm the kid in this relationship, so I need to learn to let you be my mom and comfort me, and because he was like hiding it from his mom because he didn't want to add to her mental illness situation, which I totally understand as somebody who's been in those shoes. I was walking on eggshells all the time when I was Felix's age with my mom for those same reasons. But anyway, it just felt ridiculous to have Felix and his girlfriend, Victor's sister, break up at the exact same time as Felix's mom and this guy break up, which just came out of the nowhere and didn't even have that actor's voice or his presence whatsoever. And then for Felix's ex-girlfriend, Lake, to break up with her girlfriend and show up. And it's just this scene where it's like, they're not even acknowledging the fact that all 3 of these characters have all been dumped all within 12 hours of each other. Maybe even like 6 hours of each other. Like, make a joke about that at least, if you're going to be that ridiculous and melodramatic, that you have 3 breakups all at the same time and they're all converging in one living room. Like, at least poke fun at, like, isn't this ridiculous or something? But they didn't do that. They just were like, yeah, this is how it is. And then I knew that the other character, Mia, and her boyfriend were going to break up, because of course they are, because apparently that's what this show is doing, is it's breaking up all of the characters all at the same time, so that way in the final episode, they can all get back together with their relationships all at the exact same time, which is terrible writing. We should have different arcs happening, so that by the time this relationship arc is cresting, this one is already plummeted, and then this one is like halfway between a crest and a plummet. Like, give us different things at the same time instead of all of the same thing for all of the characters at the same time. So, and then on top of all of that, I was like, oh, I know what they're going to do. because in this one ridiculously, terribly written scene, Victor is talking about this other gay kid at his school, because the whole concept of this entire series, to connect it to Love, Simon, was that just like Simon and Bram wrote emails to each other in Love, Simon, now Victor is writing emails to Simon, and so we've got the character of Simon in the story, who used to be an executive producer, that actor Nick Robinson or whatever, but he isn't anymore, so that's interesting. So we have that connecting character, Simon, his voiceover kind of structuring the show, and so Victor is writing to Simon saying, hey, I heard all about your thing, that your coming out thing, and by the way, screw you, because it's not easy for me as it was for you. Which I liked. I loved that in the first episode of the first season. Great, because that's one of the issues that I had with Love, Simon. It was a little too easy for Simon, which made me want to be a writer, by the way, and there's going to be a whole story about that at some point. In fact, I already recorded a video about that. But the point is, that being where the show originated, of course they have to come full circle and bring it back to Simon at the end, right? Like, Simon doesn't need to be the main character. In fact, he should not be the main character, but he should fulfill that role that he had fulfilled back in season 1, where he's providing advice to Victor. So I thought for sure, in the second to last episode of season 3, Victor would be like, I just don't know what to do about Benji. Dear Simon, here's what's going on. I know I haven't talked to you in a while. Because they had this ridiculous scene where Victor is like wanting to help out with this other gay kid. He's like, oh, I could be that kid Simon. And Felix is like, whatever happened to that Simon chap? And it's like, oh my God. And the scene just ends there. And it's like, okay, I get it. So in the second to last episode, or maybe the last episode, Simon reappears either in person at the Winter Carnival or just via an email or a text or whatever to say, I got interrupted by my barking dog, so I completely forgot where I was in talking about this. But anyways, what I thought was going to happen was in the second to last episode of the show, Simon was going to reappear. And maybe he wouldn't tell Victor exactly what to do, because that takes the agency away from Victor. When writing the main character, you want them to have the most agency possible. So it should be something that Victor decides to do of his own volition, but maybe it's something that, Simon just nudges him in the right direction, and then Victor's like, oh, I know what I need to do. Something like that, So anyways, Simon's presence is there, and so it's full circle. And then, in the very final scene of the last episode, after we've tied up the ends of all the characters, maybe we are now hearing from a brand new character that we have never heard of or seen before, or maybe it's even that gay kid that we met, a couple episodes ago or something. It's the end of it's the new school year or something, and they're like, Dear Victor, and then the show has gone full circle. So now this brand new character is writing to Victor, and then, if they wanted to, they could spin off the show to be Love Alex or whatever, or Love Alicia, or, who knows? But the point is, and they don't have to do that, but it's just a fun way to have it full circle and feel like it's part of the hero's journey. The hero returns to the beginning at the end. And we didn't get any of that. We didn't have a return of Simon, and we didn't have a setup of, remember back in one of my favorite shows of all time had a god-awful final season because the original creator got pushed out of her contract, and so she left with her husband, who was also her co-showrunner in some ways. So they left. So a completely different rando guy had to write the final season, and it was pretty terrible, but guess what he got right? He understood that concept and had the very final scene of the last episode of this yucky season 7 mirror the final scene of the very first episode, because it shows a full circle, and that just feels right. And frankly, I cried. Didn't cry during Love Victor's final episode. Didn't feel much at all, except kind of annoyance and anger. So anyways, those are my long-winded, circuitous thoughts on Love Victor, and I just wish I could rewrite it from scratch, that final season, except I would need 2 seasons to get it right. So anyways, I hope Becky Albertalli wasn't as disappointed with it as I am, but I bet she was. And I bet she is like, gosh darn it, I should have been more active. But she's busy doing a million other things and doesn't have time to be even remotely involved in Love Victor, so that's okay. But anyways, I hope you guys don't hate me too much. If you loved the final season of Love Victor, I support you. Good job. Good job. I don't know, you didn't do anything, but, you know, I support you. If you want to love it, great. I hated it. And those are harsh words, but especially after seeing Heartstopper, I am a harsher critic on gay love stories because Heartstopper is basically perfect. So we'll see how season 2 of Heartstopper goes though. But anyways, that's it for this episode. Episode like it's a TV show. See you guys in the next video. Bye.